I'm gonna run over all my teammates.
It's not very kind.
Enlisted can be a really fun game, but it can also get a bit confusing at times, so here's some general pointers to get new players going in the right direction when you're first playing the game. We just hit 3,000 subscribers, which I'm so grateful for, thank you so much. Alright, let's get into the video. Let's go, boys, let's get on that capture point. We've lost 50 soldiers, 50 people have perished, and we're not even on the capture site. Oh my god, I see why 50 people have perished, I know how to perish too. Oh wait, these guys died as well, that's crazy. Playing for the capture point is key, especially if you're the offensive team and you've got a limited amount of resources. You need to make sure you're constantly aggressing towards the capture site. Without it, you can't win the game. It's a team effort, you need to work together on this one. If you're down but not out, you do have the option to drop your grenade on the floor if you have one, which can bring down an enemy with you if there's an enemy nearby. Don't always do this, if you can get up, do, but if there's an enemy right there, you may as well do it anyway. Paratrooper squads are insanely versatile. If you have one, make sure you are using it. These things have so much capability being able to drop in anywhere on the map. Here, as you can see, the enemies had a tank next to the capture point, so I dropped in right next to it, got an RPG. It did take me a couple shots, but I took out their tank, which would have taken out dozens of friendly teammates, which, as I was the attacking team, is really vital that that doesn't happen. In addition to taking out their tank, it gave me key positioning to being able to mow down waves of enemies coming towards the capture point like this. In this example, I didn't get very many before I died, but several times during the same match, I'd parachute back into similar spots that just gave you a huge vantage point where you could mow down enemies. Rally points are really key to winning games. If you need to respawn, you want to be respawning as close to the capture point as possible, which is why in this example, when the closest one was over 100 meters away, I decided to instead spawn in my truck, which is a mobile rally point, so it's when you can drive up. They're not quite as good as normal rally points, they've got a longer respawn cooldown, but you don't have to have an engineer, which for me at the moment I don't have in my squadron, because I'm just trying to level up some other squads. And also, you can put them like anywhere super quickly, because they have well good speed, and so it lets you get to your positioning nice and early, especially at the start of matches. Speaking of rally points and respawns, the time to die in this game is extremely quick. You can die super easily, which is why sometimes it feels slightly unfair. For example here, the enemies have placed an anti-personnel mine on the rally point, I respawned and died immediately. It is quite harsh, but that's just how the game works. You've got to anticipate these things sometimes, they do happen, and you can use the same tricks on the enemy team, so it kind of balances it out. Another key thing about Enlisted gameplay is that it's not like a realistic shooter. It is very fast paced, quite arcadey, so you want to be moving about quite a lot. Here in this example, you can see that I'm fighting this guy, I have to reload, I start moving about, someone comes up, I'm moving about. You want to keep moving all over the place, you don't want to stay in one spot for too long. In terms of target prioritization, it entirely depends on your weapon. Here you can see I've got a grenade launcher on the end of my rifle, so I'm going to try and focus on areas where there is large crowds of enemies. For example, here on the side, I noticed that there's loads of them right there, get a triple kill with one shot. Again, here I've got the grenade launcher, 4 kills with one shot. That would have never happened without the grenade launcher. It is incredibly useful to have.
But I don't think anyone's that good in a gold lobby, I'm going to be so...
I just spawned on a tree! This game is far from bug-free. You'll experience problems with the AI movement, sometimes your character gets stuck, sometimes you spawn in trees. It's a bit of a mess, but it's still fun, and it's quite rare to have something that's really game-breaking. So just have fun with it when you do encounter a bug. Again, this game is fast-paced. Don't always stop to aim down sights. If I'd stopped to try and shoot that guy, I would have died. The fact that I didn't is what kept me alive there, and it is really important that you just make the decision of, do I need more accuracy or do I just need to fire quickly? When you're the defending team, you don't always want to spend all your time sat in the capture point waiting for the enemies to come to you. Don't be afraid to get aggressive. Sure, the grey zone is close to you, but you can still push slightly forwards. In this instance, I pushed forwards, I was able to take out a couple enemies because of it, and it's stuff like this, the small things, that you dwindle down their enemies' reinforcements, and that is what leads you to winning the game. If you have a short-ranged weapon like this SMG, you want to make sure that you are crouching before you're shooting from long distances. It greatly increases accuracy. It might not seem like it, but it makes a huge difference when you actually do it. Remember, this game is a squad-based game. You have your AI soldiers. When you see one guy running out in the open like that, there is usually more behind them. So don't get too carried away by individuals, and remember that there's always a group nearby, whether it's small or big. There will be more soldiers around. Another thing that's important to remember is your ammo. If you have a soldier who lives a long time and gets a good amount of kills, especially with a machine gun or SMG from this kind of distance, then your ammo will start to dwindle fast. You have a very limited supply of ammo in most guns, especially automatic ones, so do keep an eye on it. If you run out, switch to a secondary. If you don't have one, pick up a gun off of an enemy that you've killed, and they'll keep you going for a couple more shots, and hopefully you can get another one with that. Another key thing to note about the squad mechanic, it means you can respawn. You can sacrifice yourself into holes like this, and it gives you valuable info. Then when I respawn as this other character, I can push towards that same spot, and I know exactly where an enemy is. So here you see I go down into the trench. I know there's an enemy back in that corner. I'm not even going to risk trying to shoot him. I'm just going to throw a grenade back there. My teammate does go in for the kill here, but my grenade explodes before they get the chance, and that takes out the enemy. Playing key roles is also really important. As you can see here, I've got an anti-tank soldier, so I'm going to pull out the RPG and I'm going to shoot the enemy tank, as that will save a lot of my teammates again. Try to remember, you're playing as a team. If your team are having a strong presence on the capture point, you should try and flank. If your team has no presence on the capture point, you should try and get to the capture point. If there's loads of tanks up on the enemy team, play anti-tank. You want to work to favour the battlefield in your team's favour. It's not just about rushing straight out there and getting as many kills as you can. Oh, this is a bad guy. The battle rating of your gear is not super important. Here I was in a battle rating 5 match, and I'm using a rifle that you get right at the start of the game, but I was still able to get kills in it, because the game is quite well balanced. Another thing you'll notice is that there's quite a lot of momentum in this game. If there's one team that is doing exceedingly well, for example, let's say the attacking team, then if you keep pushing forwards really fast, the enemies won't have time to set up proper defense at the next point. For example, in this video here, you need to set up a few mines, and that's about it. Our team kept pushing up really quickly into this point, and there wasn't a whole lot the enemies could do about it, and we took this one very quickly afterwards. And because we took it so quickly, there were still a lot of enemies in the area after we did, which resulted in me being able to go to a window of the house and just take shots like this, and I racked up a good amount of kills just by sitting in a window, which I wouldn't normally recommend doing, because you're sitting in one spot, you will get seen quite quickly, and you will die. But in some situations like this, I was able to get a decent amount of kills just by basically camping. I think this clip here is a great example of the repositioning thing I was talking about earlier, about how it's a very fast-paced game and you want to be constantly moving. I was just going from one side of this hut to the other, again and again and again, swapping sides of this machine gunner, and the poor enemies couldn't keep up with where I was, and I was able to take out loads of them as a result of it. Equip as many soldiers as you can with TNT charges. These things are so powerful, you can use them as anti-tank weapons without needing an anti-tank crew member, and without needing to waste your precious grenades. If you come across a spot that works really well, that you get a good amount of kills from, I highly recommend you do just rinse and repeat it. A lot of the times, enemies won't expect you to be in the same place again and again and again for some reason. Like, they expect you to be there if you sit there for ages, but if you go there, go somewhere else, then come back, they just don't see you coming. Which is why this window here at this house, for example, worked really well. I was able to come here, get some kills, I would die, I'd come back, I'd get some kills, I'd die. But it worked quite well several times this match. If you can, destroy enemy rally points. They give them such a huge advantage. As I mentioned before, rally points are really useful, so if you can take them out, it is vital for your team. Kobe. Watch that kill him. Oh my god. Ultimately, just try and have fun. It's a game at the end of the day. But I hope you found at least one of these little things I had to mention, these little tips, somewhat useful. The video was a little bit rushed, I do apologise for that. I didn't realise what time it was until I looked at my clock and I saw it was 8:30, and I was like, oh, that's kind of bad. And then I started to go and get something to eat instead of editing the video. And then I came back and now I've edited the video, and it's currently 11:21, so I've left it a bit late. I apologise for that. But I got the video out, I did all I could, and I've given some tips, some wisdom. If you want some more, let me know. I can maybe go more in depth in some of these, I can give some more tips. Or I can try and be more clear if there's a tip that you didn't understand very well. Yeah, just let me know in the comments, and I'll see what I can do. Hope you have a great day. I'll see you guys next week on Monday for another full video. I'll see you every day in between with a short. Goodbye. Oh, so close to triple digits. That's kind of annoying.